The next page, psychological consequences from viewing porn. We already talked about this, increased violence and aggression, so we're not gonna continue with that one. This idea of brain fog, this idea of just being not quite present or there, just because you're constantly seeking this stimulation. Porn is powerful, and we can't underestimate its influence on our minds. A lack of interest in life besides porn. Low self-esteem. These are real. When you watch those things, you think, that doesn't look like me. I can't do that. Whether you're a male or a female, it leads to a lot of shame and it leads to a lot of insecurities. Poor body image, guilt, shame, depression, social anxieties. So start thinking about when we look at those stats and the numbers and how much porn is being watched and how more digitally connected we are, yet how more isolated we are and where this is taking us. The need to seek more porn over time, we discussed that in the addictive nature. The hijacked sexual arousal, so not really understanding what should arouse us and what we allow in. The loss of control of your sexuality. And back to the self-control, the selfish pursuit of your sexual needs. This is Gary Wilson, renowned researcher, has a great website, Your Brain on Porn. He's talking about these psychological consequences in terms of the real issues that people that are addicted to porn are facing. And I want you to listen to the amazing stories of redemption and change when people do one thing, and that's get porn out of their lives. So go ahead and run clip 2.
Researchers haven't asked porn users about the symptoms Zimbardo described in The Demise of Guys. Arousal addiction symptoms are easily mistaken for such things as ADHD, social anxiety, depression, concentration problems, performance anxiety, OCD, and a host of others. Now, healthcare providers often assume that these conditions are primary, perhaps the cause of addiction, but never really the result of an addiction. As a consequence, they often medicate these guys without really inquiring about if they have an internet addiction. Here's a guy in his late 20s. I've been to psychologists and psychiatrists for the last 8 years, have been diagnosed with depression, severe social anxiety, severe memory impairment, and a few others. Have tried Effexor, Ritalin, Xanax, Paxil, dropped out of 2 different colleges, been fired twice, used pot to calm my social anxiety. I've been approached by quite a few women, I guess due to my looks and status, but they quickly flew away due to my incredible weirdness. I've been a hardcore porn addict since age 14. For the last 2 years, I've been experimenting and finally realized that porn was an issue. I stopped it completely 2 months ago. It has been very difficult, but so far, incredibly worth it. I've since quit my remaining medication. My anxiety is non-existent. My memory and focus are sharper than they've ever been. I feel like a huge chick magnet and my ED is gone too. I seriously think I had a rebirth, a second chance at life. As the guy returns to normal sensitivity, his brain looks around for the rewards it evolved to seek, such as friendly interaction and, of course, real mates. Here's one more example of what we hear every day. I feel like the next Sir Isaac Newton or Leonardo da Vinci. Since I quit a month ago, I've literally started a business, taken up piano, been studying French every day, been programming, drawing, writing, started managing my finances, and I have more awesome ideas than I know what to do with. My confidence is sky high. I already feel like I can talk to any girl. I'm the same guy who took 2.5 extra years to graduate from college.
I've met Gary a few times. That was one of the clips that really opened my eyes early as I was doing my research. This idea that, I don't know if you caught that, most people think that those conditions are primary to an addiction. So I am depressed or I have social anxiety, therefore I go and I do what I do that becomes an addiction. But did you hear what he said? They don't really ever look at the addiction being the primary cause for these things. And just like those 35-year-olds who the doctors don't ask if they look at porn before prescribing medication, how many psychiatrists and psychologists ask about our kids' porn addictions when they turn into these numb, isolated kids? And we just say, oh, they're just 13. They're just 14. Now again, I don't want to see everything as a nail because I swing this hammer. But if you've noticed a marked change in your child fairly quickly into isolation and depression and being quiet, and you're just like, it's just not my kid. What's happened? I'm not saying it is, I'm saying there's a chance. There's a chance that porn, this part, is doing that. And again, the good news is, look what that said. The anti-movement says all this research is correlative. For the kids, again, breaking that down, that means you can't prove it actually creates this. There's a connection, but it's so complicated, we can't actually say it. This is not correlation, this is causation. Because they said the men that do this, they changed one thing in their life. They didn't change anything else. All they changed was they don't watch porn. And they go, my brain is back on fire. And this isn't just Gary Wilson telling us a story. I've heard this from people I coach and mentor. And again, it's different timelines. Sometimes it's not a month, sometimes it's 8 months. But that's such a beautiful moment when those people go, I got my brain back. I feel energized again. I feel like I can interact with people. I feel like I'm creative. And so we've got to understand this is a massive, massive consequence that viewing pornography and getting swallowed up does. You become dull. You become isolated from the world.